Before before we start today, I'd just like to mention that the agenda is going to be changed a little bit because COA 2449 was withdrawn today. So we're going to be going from COA, I think, 2447 to 2450.
Okay, well, let's call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to all the petitioners and anyone else that we have in the audience. Let's go ahead and take roll call.
Okay. Duncan Campbell. Jack Baker.
Here.
Karen Duffy. She's virtual. Jeremy Hackard. Marlene Newman.
Here.
Ernesto Castaneda. Daniel Schlegel.
Here.
Sam DeSaller.
Here.
John Saunders. Elizabeth Mitchell.
Here.
William Folk.
Here.
Reynard Cross.
Here. And non-voting members?
I did them.
Oh, you did both?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did them first.
Okay, so our first order of business, two comments real quickly. It looks like we've got a fairly short agenda, but we do have two commissioners that need to leave early. Daniel by 7 and Renard by 6:45, so we're going to try to get everything accomplished by then.
Great.
Okay,
That'd be good.
so approval of minutes. Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve the
Okay.
minutes.
Here, Elizabeth.
And
Second.
Marlene, second?
Okay. Okay. Marlene Newman.
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel.
Yes.
Sam DeSaller.
Abstain.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
William Folk.
Yes.
Reynard Cross.
Yes.
Minutes approved 501.
Moving on to certificates of appropriateness, starting with staff approval. We have one item for staff approval, COA 2448 for 110 North Walnut in the Courthouse Square Historic District. In Rich, a barber shop that is moving into a notable neoclassical building at 110 North Walnut is requesting signage to replace the existing signage mounted on a historic metal awning. The request is for the installation of LED imitation neon signage on said awning. And staff approves COA 2448. The proposed signage is not dissimilar from other lighted signage on the square, including the Malibu Grill next door and Samira's Restaurant. And the design would not obscure the historic metal awning or detract from the building's overall appearance. All right, moving on to staff review. COA 2446. The petitioner is Michael Chambly. I believe we have a different representative with us. And this is for another building in the Courthouse Square Historic District, 119 West 7th Street. The Monroe County Health Building Department building is the Monroe County Health Department building is a former federal office building built in 1912. An east wing was added after the construction of the main block, and a concrete loading dock was later built on the rear of this addition. The request is for a small rear addition enclosing the loading dock. The design proposes, this is the rear loading dock. The design proposes using limestone blocks, similar to those found on the existing building. And the petitioner proposes to build a concrete block foundation like the one that currently exists on the rear, coating it with mortar and installing a metal roof trim around the top walls of the addition, and the new windows that he proposes will match the existing windows on the side addition, which, by the way, look original, but the ones on this block here are replacements. And staff recommends approval of COA 2446. The proposed addition would match the existing building in terms of height, massing, setback, rhythm, scale, proportions, and materials. While visible from the public right-of-way, from the side and rear alleys, the proposed addition would not obscure or destroy the building's character-defining features. While visually similar to the historic side addition, the proposed addition is differentiated in scale, matching the footprint of the existing loading dock, which is with a somewhat lower roof line than the side addition. Furthermore, the proposed concrete block foundation differentiates the addition's period of construction from the historic building, which has a limestone foundation. The metal roof trim will also help define this block as a separate addition. So this is the proposed addition, which would add an office space to the rear, as well as second floor plan, which the one exterior change being the new roof over the area that's currently the loading dock. That's next item.
Anything else, Noah?
That's it for me.
Okay, so do we have the petitioner?
Yes.
One change in process, if I can give all the petitioners just a quick overview. We had a retreat, so there's going to be a slight change in the progression of how things go. The petitioner will go first, and then the commissioners, for Daniel and Sam, I think both of you missed the retreat, questions, comments, but after that, we're going to have a discussion session. That was one of the takeaways, so that the commissioners could have more robust discussion about each petition, as well as hopefully would have better feedback for the petitioners as well.
So you won't vote tonight?
We will,
Oh,
we
okay.
will. We will vote after that,
All right.
but we just want to allow the commissioners some time to discuss before accepting a motion.
Thank
So I just wanted to set that expectation for everyone. So, you're up,
Where do I go?
wherever you want to go.
Okay. Do I need to be at a microphone?
This will pick stuff up, but you might have to project a bit.
Okay, I'll just go right here.
It's okay.
All right. So, thanks for having me this evening. Richard Kreider, Building and Fleet Manager, Monroe County Government. I'm here in place of Mr. Michael Chambly. It's his birthday. We're proposing to modify this loading dock into office space to address some space needs that we have. The loading dock currently serves zero purpose. I think Mr. Chambly has come up with a tasteful design, historically accurate with the rest of the building, and yeah, that's it. Do you have any questions?
Okay, so we will now open it up. Jack, would you like to start us off?
Well, I looked through all the documentation and from staff and all that was presented, and no, I don't have any questions about it. I think it's pretty complete without me having to ask anything more.
Sam?
Got a couple of questions, and we're doing sort of questions, comments at the same time, from what I heard you say.
We'll go around twice. so
Okay, thank you,
questions
that's
and comments,
helpful. So, a couple of questions. On the addition, it looks like you're leaving the sloped slab of the loading dock in place. If you go to partial east elevation on scheme 4, see that little guy right there?
Mhm.
So that's gonna, you're gonna see the exposed slope concrete slab still after you're done?
I'm not, we're,
Here, pardon me, Jack. Sure. Right there.
Right there.
looks like the slab is left in place, it slopes down, and then there's some kind of block at the end of it.
Yeah, I
Which-
believe that'll be the same.
So then on we don't have any purview over the inside, but just in terms of like, you're gonna have to like shim up the floor or something on the inside to make that office space level instead of sloped?
Well, that's a good question. I think when you stand there and look at the loading dock,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have realized it was sloped until you just said that.
yeah, I mean, for rain, and I'm an architect, so I'm fussy about this
Yeah,
stuff, but,
Yeah,
okay, so that's a question. The other question I have is, Noah said that the foundation around was gonna be concrete block. Is it just like concrete block? Is that the existing concrete block, or are you going to come in with new block?
I believe it's new block.
Okay. And is that just plain concrete block? Is it split face block? Is it ground face block? What's the color of the block?
I believe Mr. Chambly told me there's going to be block and it'll be coated with something.
In the
but I
email,
can-
oh, sorry, if I may, in the
I think
email.
you addressed it.
Yeah, in the email that he attached, he says, new concrete blocks, coated in mortar, similar to the existing basement wall.
So it's a parch coated,
That's it.
Right.
That's what he said.
Mhm.
okay, it's parch coated concrete block. And then above it's, what I heard Noah saying, if you could confirm that, the exterior cladding is gonna be a larger scale limestone block.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I got, thank you.
Daniel?
Since I'm not an architect, like my fellow commissioner here, I just want to make sure I'm reading these correctly. So on, if you go back, I think one more. Okay, one more, sorry. I guess, yeah, one more. I'm trying to get to the one.
The next COA. What is
The one that has EX3 in the bottom and EX4 is where I'm trying to get to. So EX3, this is what it looks like now.
that?
Oh, yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah. Yeah, there's the existing,
And then this is what it will look like.
right.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, Sam was able to answer my question. I could just turn the page. That was much easier. No, I have no other questions. I just wanted to make sure I was reading it the right way.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any questions. I'll just wait for comments. No questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, no, neither do I. So, over to comments. Jack?
Do we want to ask for Karen?
Oh, is Karen online?
Yes.
Yes, she's the
Okay.
top guy.
Let's see if she has any questions.
Oh, just that I have to unmute this actually. Karen?
Oh, I said, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did say, no questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Jack?
Yeah, in reading this, staff recommendations, and the other information that's been added, it looks to me like everybody's done the due diligence on this. It's a good fit. I have no problem recommending, that commissioners approve.
Sam, you're up.
I think the scale of it's fine. The concrete, only thing, the concrete might be a little weird and the slab might be a little weird. So if they decide they want to like pull that slab out and put something horizontal in there to like build a flat floor, I wouldn't object to that either. And I think if we do a friendly amendment to the drawings, I would, but basically, it looks fine. I wouldn't, it's better than what's there,
Yeah.
and it's compatible with what you got going on.
Sam? Daniel?
I think Jack summed up what I wanted to say, so this is great.
All right.
Yeah, I like the idea and the concept, and to my knowledge, that was built as the post office here.
Mhm.
And as a 35-year veteran of the post office, I appreciate fixing it up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I like the design.
Okay, just discussion?
Oh, Karen.
Karen, yes, Karen.
No, I agree. Well done.
Okay. Okay, it sounds like we have a consensus, but Commissioner discussion. Any discussion required? Okay, seeing none, do we have, oh, go right ahead.
Need to ask Sam, did you want to make the motion so you could have your friendly?
Yeah, I don't, does anyone have an objection to doing a friendly amendment to say that the petitioner, if during the course of the project decide that they want to rip out that slope slab and put in a flat slab in place, that there would be no objection from the commission?
Yeah, sorry.
That sounds reasonable to me.
And is that, you done with that?
I'm okay with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Then I would move to approve with the amended possible replacement of a flat slab at the petitioner's instigation.
So let me just make sure I heard what you said, Sam. So good as is, or if they want to, okay.
If they want to
Both
flatten out the
options.
slopey bit.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Danielle, second?
Okay. Marlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
William Falk,
Yes.
Reynard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good holiday.
All right, you as well.
All right, next item on the agenda, COA 2447. This is for 701/703 South Woodlawn in the Elm Heights Historic District. Petitioner is Lindsay Thompson. I believe we have John Simpson representing today. This is a 4-square duplex that retains most of its original features, except for the first floor windows, which were replaced, I believe, prior to the district's designation. Reading off the quote from the request, attached is our COA for 701/703 South Woodlawn. For several years now, I've had tenants complaining that the windows on the second story of this home, they complain that it is hard to control the temperature of their rooms due to the thinness of the glass, and that bugs are easily able to get into the rooms due to the inability to get a tight seal, and that they are confused why the lower level windows are new, whereas the ones on the top are not. We are requesting permission from the board to replace all windows in the house with new Amish-made fiberglass windows. The company we would use would be F&J Construction outside of Odon, Indiana. We would like to keep a grid pattern on the windows and would do the same on the upper and lower levels. Work would take about 7 to 8 hours to complete. For your reference, I've attached photos of the current windows at 701/703 South Woodlawn, including upstairs originals and downstairs replacements from prior to our ownership, and photos of houses where we have replaced windows with the type of windows we would use at this address. Additionally, we would repaint any painted areas on the exterior of the home that are not brick in order to brighten the home up. We would love to work with the HPC to make this project happen. So, staff comments. Staff recommends approval of COA 2447. There are several options to consider for improving the insulation of windows while retaining a building's historic appearance. While exterior storm windows can add a layer of insulation, storm windows on a second story can be difficult for renters to remove during warmer months. If the windows on the top floor are in good condition, they can be insulated with weather stripping and cellular shades, which would be a preferable solution that could help insulate the upper floors while allowing the original windows to remain in use. The windows on the lower floor are 1/1 vinyl replacements from before the district's local designation, but the originals likely resembled the divided pane windows on the second story. These could be replaced with divided pane fiberglass windows resembling the upper floor windows without adding detail that conveys a false sense of history. If the upper story windows are to be replaced, a custom design that matches the historic windows would be appropriate.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So,
I would like to add, I understand storm windows, like Noah said, storm windows is like the first thing, just to kind of tackle that discussion right here. Once again, the problem with storm windows is I get tenants then complaining that they want to open them or close them. So that I just wanted to give my comments on that here and now, just regarding the storm window discussion.
Yeah, I think a uniform, the same windows top and bottom with the grids top and bottom, I think would really jazz it up, make it more uniform, just,
okay, thank you.
yeah.
So these are pictures of some of the replacement windows on other buildings.
In the same district?
In the same, I'm
No,
not
these
sure,
are
I don't think
not-
these are in the district, yeah.
Okay.
These are in non-historic
Mhm.
homes. The first
Yeah.
one's at or the one on the left is on 10th Street, and the one on the right is at
Mhm.
East Smith Ave, so not in historic
Yeah.
districts.
And as you can see here on the left, hopefully that's large enough for you there, that's the original windows, and on the bottom you can see the replacements.
Right. Thank you, Noah. Jack?
So if I understand this correctly, the storms we're talking about, are they what I call the conventional old removable storms that have some hooks? You go up on a ladder, you put them on, you take them off, and those you're saying are in poor condition?
I honestly think that we would have to make new ones. I don't think we have the old storm windows for these houses. It is an option to do that, but once again, with it being a rental, that there is maintenance with that. So my first attempt is just to try to get uniformity in the house.
Well, my question was aimed at just exactly what's there right now. I'm a little unsure here, looking at the district guidelines. Is it saying that the windows can be replaced, or is it saying they should not be replaced? It's not clear to me exactly what the guidelines are getting to.
Noah, can you get any clarity to that?
So, really the recommendation with the guidelines is, if the windows are functioning and repairable, then they should be restored and reused. And I guess part of my question is whether, these windows are still functioning as they should, and whether, there are changes that can be made that could help make them more usable, or if for the sake of, maintaining a comfortable living space, there would have to be a replacement.
Well, that's my question as
Mhm.
well. We don't seem to have any info
Mhm.
or pictures that show the condition of the
Mhm.
windows, whether, how bad they are, how good they
Right.
are. And that makes it a little difficult to decide anything, in my mind. So let me ask another question. Fiberglass.
Mhm.
I haven't run into fiberglass windows yet. Plastics of sorts, thermoplastics, that sort of thing, and laminates and solid and so on, but it would be, I wish I had a sample of the material.
Mhm.
It's just difficult to make any kind of decision as to quality, color, anything without having a piece of that sort of material or sample of the window to look
I'd be
at.
happy to provide both for the board.
We'll see if it goes there, so,
Okay.
thank you. That's all I have.
Sam?
Have there been any comments from the Elm Heights Design Review Committee?
I sent it to them, but I haven't heard back.
Okay. And I think you addressed the question about information on the proposed replacement windows. We don't have any yet, in terms of size and color and that kind of stuff. Are you planning on using the windows as the fiberglass windows that you're planning to replace them? Are you going to paint them, or just use the factory color, or what's?
Factory white.
So are you going to paint them, or are you going to use the factory color?
They come over, there's
They're in white, so
Yes.
okay, thank you.
I don't think you have to paint them.
Okay, and then the other question I've got is, you mentioned painting. There are some limestone sills and that kind of stuff. are you proposing to paint those as well? Because you said anything not brick, and it worries me a little bit.
No.
Just the trim, like just
Okay.
the
Just the wood
soffits.
Yeah.
trim, yeah.
Anything that's already painted as a finish, you don't have to come to us. It's in the guidelines that you can repaint it like,
I put it as a gesture of trying to work together on the
gotcha.
project.
So thank you for that.
But thank you.
And then both of these windows upstairs and down, all the windows that you're proposing to replace, do those all have the same operation? That is, are they all double hung or single hung windows?
They're all double hung. I mean, the upstairs window, the downstairs windows are double hung.
Are they, well, those are the replacements.
And then,
now.
yes, those are the replacements. The upstairs windows are the historic ones. And you'll,
They're double hung too.
yeah.
Do we
Like, you
have
can move them
photographs of
both
all
down
of the
and up.
windows that are going to
Yeah.
propose to be replaced in the packet?
In the packet, you have both types of windows, so all the ones on the ground floor are the same.
Okay, but all the ones upstairs,
Oh, I see there's two different sizes upstairs.
okay, so there's two different sizes, but they're all the same operation. And then the top ones are like 12/1s, and then the downstairs are 1/1s. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
That's it.
That covered my questions, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Dane?
They asked mine, so mine have been answered.
Okay.
How many windows total are we talking about?
I don't know, 20 some probably.
Okay.
Okay. Marlene?
So, the windows on the first floor are 1/1. Are you gonna use a gridded?
Yeah, we
top?
wanted to make it match top and bottom.
Oh, okay. And then well,
We would
Well,
mimic,
that's what was there originally.
yeah, I
we would
figured.
mimic the grid pattern from the upstairs.
Like, what else? I don't have any other questions.
I see here where, I'm assuming that the couple of paragraphs here, are the sole justification for your request to replace the windows.
Yes, the tenants called me requesting new windows. This has happened, probably 2 or 3 different groups of tenants have complained and had issues with this house. They actually reached out individually to Noah regarding this and came to me saying, look, we've called Noah. He says you can file a COA. I said, I will file a COA. I've come to the board with this request, I think about 2 years ago, to replace these windows. I understand preservation is your guys' natural thing that you want to lean on to. But once again, we are a rental and kids are used to, like, once again, the heating and the cooling is definitely becoming an issue for the upstairs units and the downstairs. I don't know how, and I don't know how long, once again, how long do we look at windows to restore, and I mean, no offense in what I'm going to say, so, once again, but how long do we continue to replace windows, and when do we look at, like, what can we meet you guys in the middle to something that will be efficient for our tenants? With no disrespect, I own a historic home. I appreciate, restoring the windows. It's just not, once again,
The thing is, we can't restore the lower level windows.
Yeah,
Those are already there, and they're pretty darn ugly. They don't match the top ones. And these windows are thick, they're substantial, they have a great R factor, argon gas on them. I think they're about almost 3.5 inches thick, so they're really meaty, substantial windows. And man, you can't, the outside noise goes away, the heat bills go down, you can tip them out to clean them. And it's a pretty nice thing. And actually, from probably 6 feet back, you can't really tell that they're not wood. They're pretty clean look.
Well, thank you. But my question really concerned the issues with the temperature and the bugs.
And I explained to them storm windows, and they were very adamant that they did not want storm window. They don't want, like, they want something they can open, close when they want to adjust.
Right, but again, my issue is that are you depending or relying solely on your tenants
What do you mean?
Give me a second. On information gleaned from your tenants with regards to the inability to control the temperature in the room.
I would
And-
say, like, once again, it's been 3 different sets of tenants. 2 different sets have reached out to NOAA, so it's not,
The point I'm making is, how can you be sure that the issue with the temperature in the room is solely
well, I've
coming
sent-
from the windows?
I've sent our contractors out to like make sure there's no issues with the HVAC, make sure that the venting is, you know,
Okay.
working correctly with the heating system.
Well-
And I also understand that like houses that were built, I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
Yeah, I was kind of gonna say, you know, that I would like to see that, a report from someone
Oh, I could
with
be-
expertise to say that these windows are not sufficient, they're not rated, they're not appropriate to make the room or the house, you know, keep it at the ideal temperature, right? Rather than the say-so of the tenant who is not necessarily an expert. You know, similar with the bugs, I'd like to see photographs of the windows. I'd like to see examples or samples of the new windows, what they would look like.
Yeah, I'd be happy to provide that.
Right, but they should have accompanied this because, well,
I sent the COA, NOAA didn't ask for any additional information. I tried to provide as much detail as I could.
okay, that's it. Thank you.
Jack, comments?
I need one clarification. It gives me the impression, the COO gives me the impression that all windows in the house are to be replaced. All windows, top and bottom. Complete replacement. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
That's the idea.
We
Okay.
prefer uniformity.
Okay, and they will all be replaced with the 12/1s.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The hang-up for me is if this were, if I was looking at a new building, my own, I want to see the material. I want to see what I'm getting. If it's, I know what an Anderson window is, I know what a Pella window is, I know what some other windows are. This one I'm not familiar with, and so in a new case like this, I would always ask, bring me a window sample.
Yeah.
Bring me the information.
Happy to do that.
And before I ever decided upon anything. That's all.
Jack. Sam?
Yeah, I think replacing the lower floor windows, I'm not gonna have any issues with. I hate vinyl. Fiberglass is fine. That said, I do want to see both a sample of what the section of the window's gonna look like and how you're planning on doing the muntins, because they have applied muntins, they have muntins between the glass and yada, 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 and they have spacers and not spacers. So we want to know what you're doing, how you're doing it, what sizes everything is going to be. Because it can either look fake and stupid, or it can really kind of, like as you say, 6 feet away, it looks good. That said, I have issues with replacing the upper windows. I'd like to see them repaired. And you say with storm windows, they can't open the windows. I live around the corner from this building, and I really like it. There's a bunch of buildings in the neighborhood that are just gorgeous. I don't actually live in the district, but I still, take care of, I've got a 1927 Foursquare, so it's all wood, not any gray. But we have double hungs top and bottom. We have some casements in places, but on the double hungs, you can get storm windows that operate. So they have, they go up and down as well. You can get double hung storms. So I would suggest you look into those. I would also, before we rule on this, and given that I think we're asking for a lot more information from the petitioner, I'd love for NOAA to pester the design review people again. I say this every time, but Elm Heights is the most restrictive district in Bloomington, and they wrote the guidelines to reflect that. And they're very clear they want like replaced with like, and only replaced with like if and only if the original material is irreparable. So unless we get documentation that these things are like falling apart, then that's an issue. I also want to caution you that you've been hearing about this for years from tenants. And so this is a maintenance issue. And I would like to see these, part of why I'm sad why I missed the retreat is that part of the mission of the HPC is to make sure that these historic buildings are maintained. That's half of our duty. And if these buildings are not being maintained, then we have to let the petitioners and owners know that they need to get on it and start maintaining it, so it doesn't come to a place where they want to or need to replace original material with replacement stuff, which isn't going to be as historically appropriate.
Well, Hand is pretty good at letting us know that. You know, as far as keeping up on what? I'm not allowed to speak? Or-
Well, no, you just wait until we're finished,
Okay.
and then, so we're doing
I
comments.
got you.
We're doing comments, and then we'll come back around
Gotcha.
to you. But, so I think that's about all I've got, but, and, you know, the painting is not an issue. But I do want to hear back from the design review committee if at all possible, and I'd like to see, in addition to like a sample of the window and all the stuff, I'd like to see photographs of every single window that you want to replace, not just, we want to replace all the windows. So we got to see what you're proposing, so we're just like, we know what it is. And, you know, if there is like an elevation that is actually not visible from the public way, we don't have purview over that, so. But we would like to see photographic evidence of what you want to get rid of and what you want to replace.
I don't think I have anything to add to what Jack and Sam said.
Absolutely, I agree with Sam. So there might be another solution, which is you can get interior storm windows that don't then, and they can be double hung, so that then it doesn't change what the existing windows look like. And I did the design and the renovation for the 555 Morton Street, which is just the building down the, and that's what we did. We
Double hung interior.
well, these were not, but I mean, they're big commercial windows, so they weren't operable, but you can get them, as I just found. But so the interesting thing was that the R value wasn't any different from a new window, though you're talking about something very different from a double hung to, you know, double pane, whatever. So that would be one thing that you could look at.
Did it have a screen, or does it just?
Yeah, I think you
can
can,
get
I
it
don't
with like a
know, I
screen?
mean, the screen, I don't know, that's a good question. I just looked it up.
You're fine, I'm an expert at Google. So.
And then the other thing is that in the past, we've also considered, you know, maybe keeping just the front facade, which is visible from the street, and then thinking about replacing the windows behind. And the reason that I'm torn is that the first floor windows are all gone. And so so I'm actually needing to be convinced by my fellow board members. So
We have a topped-up hybrid.
exactly, you do. But it's beautiful. I love that house.
It's a great house.
I walk by it all the time. It's my ornery dog.
Anything else, Marlon?
No.
Really, the only thing I'd add to what the other commissioners have presented before is I'd like to see some kind of report as to the functionality of these windows. I mean, Sam said he wants to see pictures, but I mean, if somebody was going to make a declaration that these windows are inoperable, I'd like to see a report from somebody suitably qualified that says that these windows are inoperable. And if you're going to make a request that they be replaced because they're irreparable, I'd also like to see a report from somebody suitably qualified saying that these windows cannot be repaired. That's the only thing I'd add.
Right. Thank you. All right. Karen?
Yeah, I just would like to second Marlene and Sam on the encouragement to look into alternatives, maybe to storm windows that could be added, whether on the inside or, you know, that would work for the tenants as well as for the building.
Yes, Marlene?
It's really hard to determine the state of a window by a photograph. So is there possibility to have a site visit for people who are really interested in that? I know in the past we've done that, so that would be a solution that,
Christmas break's a great time for
I
that.
know. So that might be a nice way to settle everything.
Okay, before we,
Also, anything more from the petitioners?
Yeah. So here's, we're happy to leave it the way it is. I mean, it's gonna cost us a considerable amount of money to change all these windows. We're gonna rent the place basically for the same price, whether we do it or not. But right now, it's not uniform. You have grids upstairs, vinyl single panes downstairs. It doesn't look good. So, I thought, well, we can afford to buy these vinyl windows that aren't $30,000, Pella aluminum clad jobs, and they look really good. So, we just thought we'd try to make it better. From the outside, looking at it, it's all uniform top and bottom. It tightens the house up. Tenants don't complain, and I think you can repair anything forever, but there is a lifespan eventually with these old windows. And the fact that they've been, it would be one thing if all the windows in the house hadn't been touched, and to try to go around and fix them up so they all look uniform. The original windows were there and all the same top and bottom, but they're not. So it looks really pretty ugly the way it is. And what we can afford to do is put in these replacement ones that we've been using quite a bit of. They're really good windows. And make the whole thing look uniform. And they're just nice looking windows. It's really all we can say. And I like to make the tenants a little happier, but quite honestly, this is gonna rent with a few complaints. We can live with that and save the money. So.
thank you.
So there's also a few options in terms of how we want to handle this. If people have sort of questions that might be more difficult to resolve now, there's always the option of conditional approval if you want to approve for part of the petition. And then there's also the option if you really want to get more information and if the petitioners are willing to extend the COA hearing period until our next meeting. And that's something that could be motioned for too, if that's something that people are interested in.
So Noah kind of sized things up for us. So let's open it up now to commissioner discussion. And maybe that'll give us a little more dialogue that then a motion would come out of. So would anyone like to?
Yeah, so the clock is such that we need to make a decision at this meeting. We can't table it until the next one. So, I for one want to see more information, both where the windows are that you're replacing and what you're replacing it with, in terms of sizes of all the members and that sort of stuff. So I don't think we can decide anything at this meeting. So I think for me that narrows it down to two options. One is we ask the petitioner if they're willing to extend the time, and if not, I would make a motion to deny it without prejudice for them to come back to the next meeting with a new COA.
Comments from anyone else?
I like the idea of the extension if the petitioners are willing for that. That way we can see the samples and such, be able to have more of that. So I'd be happy with that, absolutely.
That's fine.
How much of an extension is possible?
Shoot, do I? I'm afraid I don't have the.
Exact.
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Is legal on,
Back here.
Oh,
sorry, I can't see that far.
Okay. While she's doing that, perhaps if we can drill down maybe a little bit deeper for the petitioners on exactly when you would come back, what exactly we want when they would come back. I think that would provide a lot of value to them.
Would you be interested in a site visit, like just
Mhm.
coming?
I was gonna mention.
Christmas break, the tenants are usually
Sure.
gone. I don't leave till the I'll be gone from the 23rd to the 29th, but I'd be happy to bring you guys in, take a
Mhm.
look and see what your thoughts are.
Well, I'll be in town, and if anybody here is interested, I don't know how many people are free to traipse around.
Who would be interested?
I'll go,
Yeah, depending on the day, I might be able to go.
yeah,
Okay.
Depending on
Okay.
the day, yeah.
yeah, depending on the day, yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty free next week,
Mhm.
so
So,
if that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, please, come over. Love to have you.
No, not that I know anything about windows, I ain't never know about windows, but I
We
know if
could
they work or
also-
not, so.
We could
Yeah.
also grab like a sample window from our
Sample.
window maker, so I could meet you there with like a sample window.
Cool.
Just so you guys kind of have an idea of what we'd be working with in the material. Sam, I just want to say to your thing, we do care very much about the tenants. Like, it's not like we've been, well, I just noticed you meant like, maintenance and keeping them up. Like, we work really hard to make sure they're happy, so.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like, you've had maintenance complaints and the windows are still not repaired. So we said, we don't want you to get rid of the windows, and yet they're still, so it's, I'm not saying that you don't care about your tenants. I'm saying there's an issue with window maintenance.
Yep.
Those are two different things.
It has led us here, so.
okay.
I have an answer to the timing
Yes, ma'am.
issue. In our rules of procedure, it says that the certificate of appropriateness shall be issued by the commission if approved, or if the petition is not acted upon by the commission within 30 days after it's filed. So you either approve it, or if the time elapses, it's approved, right? The commission may grant an extension of the 30-day limit if the applicant agrees with the extension, and there's no time frame with that exception, extension.
Very good. Okay, so if I can just summarize real quick before I ask for a motion. I kind of made a list of all the different comments, and I'm wondering if, based on a site visit, if most of these can be handled during the site visit, such as samples. You'll have samples there. You'll probably also be able to show whoever shows up all of the windows that would be replaced. So would that, Sam, would that be sufficient? Because I think you'd asked for picture, or maybe it was you, Renard, all the
No, Sam asked for pictures. I asked
all the
for
windows
some
being
kind of
replaced.
expert report saying
Got
that
it.
we've examined the windows
Mhm.
and they're not good for heat, we can't do anything
Got
to
it.
fix them, and the only solution is to replace them because they cannot be repaired.
Got it, okay. And
And
that probably won't be available at the site visit, so that
Marlene.
might be another item. Marlene?
Duncan would be a good person to ask, because he's pretty
Mhm.
savvy about all that stuff, and see if he could show up,
Okay.
but whatever.
And the thing about it is, for the purposes of the record, I mean, I don't know how we would read into the record what we observed
Right.
on the site visit. I don't know what the process would be for that, so I would still like
Okay.
photographs and
Okay.
documentation to accompany the site visit,
The-
not
okay.
in lieu of.
Okay. So I'm hearing pictures of all the facades with the windows to be replaced. The samples that would be on site, and then probably bring those in at the next meeting. Let's see here, what else do we have? And then some sort of expert opinion on the condition of the windows, something in writing that could be presented in the packet.
Absolutely,
And,
I can do that.
Okay.
and
If I
Bill,
need it-
Yes, Karen?
someone, I've forgotten who, I think Sam, mentioned it would be great if we could make another try to get comments from the neighborhood design
Yes.
Right.
committee.
Yes. So that would be on us after you would present. We do the site visit.
Am I allowed to pick who my expert is, or, okay.
Choose your second.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can-
Cool.
we
I
can-
have some
we can-
contractors
we
that
can cook
can,
those
are
folks
like.
pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
But, I mean, there would need to be some level of expertise.
My father-in-law is a contractor, who's worked in the Elm Heights neighborhood. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him, Dave Sharp Designs.
Oh, he's a character.
Yeah.
He did my
Oh,
mother-in-law's
yeah,
house.
yeah. No, we almost met at a party a few weeks ago, but I got sick at your mother's house. So,
That is a crazy house.
yeah. I don't know if you would consider him an expert, but
He's good.
he's good at what he
Dave's
does. I
good.
could bring him into.
Okay, any other discussion before I ask for a motion? Did we cover everything?
Okay.
Think so? Okay. Okay, so do we have a motion,
We
Sam?
have to table this to the next meeting with
Uh,
purchase and
extension.
approval.
Mhm. Yes.
When is the next meeting?
Oh,
Thank
let's
you,
see,
Marlene.
second,
I was just gonna bring that up.
right, should be the
So-
second Tuesday.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a gap,
Mhm.
right, because we don't meet again until the second Tuesday of January, which is the 9th. And I believe that's your organizational meeting where you actually have to vote on your calendar
Mhm.
for the next year, right?
Mhm.
So I think it would be best if we could put a date certain on it. So I would either say on the 9th, or if you want to do it on the 23rd, which would be the meeting after the organizational meeting, when you could take
I
it
would
up as a vote.
I would appreciate the 23rd.
Okay.
I'm a tired mom after Christmas.
Okay.
I would like a little bit of a reprieve.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's not
I'll amend
table
my
it
motion
without
to,
a date
go
certain.
to the 21st.
Okay, so we'll answer.
Motion to extend.
So you made a motion to extend it to the 23rd.
On the 3rd, with
Okay.
petitioner's approval, which sounds like me.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Daniel, you,
There should be two, there was only one this year because of the transition. I'm sorry, I gave you information about that.
So, traditionally, there's one in December and one. Well, I'd like some clarification as to whether there's gonna be one meeting or two meetings in January, because.
we're gonna just extend it to the 23rd of January. Oh,
But
you're
we-
saying if there's
But if
two
there's
or
only
three.
one in January, then that meeting then becomes the organizational meeting and the regular.
But that's determined January 9th, so let's just extend it out. Okay, so
Are we ready?
we're ready.
Okay. All right, Marlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
William Falk,
Yes.
Renard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you for coming in.
I'm
Thank you,
looking
thank you,
forward
Merry
to seeing
Christmas.
you all.
Mhm.
So will
Thank
somebody,
you, Noah.
Noah, you'll be in touch about the
Oh,
site
for sure.
visit?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll see y'all soon
See
then.
ya.
All right.
Thank you.
I won't be at that meeting.
Sam, your
anyways.
mother-in-law's
Oh,
house is
that's
beautiful.
right.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you.
I'm,
Very.
it's the day before
I know
come
Dave
back.
had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, I've worked with a couple of things on Dave. and-
Right, you had mentioned
I
that.
didn't do that job, but
Out
he
of the
did,
country?
Yeah. we're
Mike
actually-
Lorimer's house.
I
and
think you went
Yeah.
there last year.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's
About
the
the same
best.
time.
He's the best.
He's the
I
best.
tried to get.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
great
you.
have a great
Mhm.
holiday.
So as I had mentioned, the next item has been withdrawn, so we're going to the last COA of the night, which is COA 2450, address 642 North Madison Street in the Showers Furniture Company Historic District. The petitioner is the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission, represented by J.D. Borup, who's been waiting patiently this whole time. And the request is to install metal flashing on the exterior, on top of the exterior brick corbel. So the Showers Furniture Company Planing Mill is an outstanding building in the Showers Furniture Company Historic District that was renovated and opened in 2018, subject to district guidelines. The site is owned and managed in part by the city of Bloomington. And the the staff report submitted with the request from JD. I'm not going to do an impression because you're on the phone. So, we are planning a masonry repair project at the mill building located in the Bloomington Trades District. The repairs consist primarily of tuck pointing, This will be accomplished using the historically correct mortar mix for the building. As part of this project, the engineer has recommended placing a metal flashing over the brick masonry corbel that runs along the exterior perimeter of the building. The flashing is a duplicate of the flashing that was installed on the showers building 12 to 15 years ago. This flashing is preferred to replacement of a mortar wash on top of the corbel. Mortar washes tend to crack and break apart. The lack of a mortar wash or flashing is enabling water to infiltrate the exterior walls of the building and at some points actually runs down the interiors of the walls. Pictures, of the corbel on the mill, as well as flashing on the showers building, have been copied, that will be copied, are included. A schematic of the flashing has also been included. Respectfully submitted, J.D. Boroff, Operations and Facilities Director, Public Works Department. So you can see here, mock-up of the proposed installation for the flashing, as well as on the top, the brick corbel on the mill building and beneath. You can make it out sort of glistening, the flashing on the brick corbel of this here building. So staff recommends approval of COA 2450 pending staff approval of the mortar mix. The proposed flashing would protect the brick corbel from further deterioration and is similar in color and profile to the flashing on the Bloomington City Hall, which would be unobtrusive and not detract from the existing architectural features. The proposed plan would attach the flashing to the mortar between the bricks rather than to the masonry itself, and care will be taken to select a mortar for tuck pointing that closely matches the historic material. Anything from the,
Excuse me?
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm here with, well, I've been here with Enrich Barbershop. Am I still needed for the meeting?
No, you're
Or
good.
I was first.
Sorry about that.
Thank
I've
you
given
so
you
much. Have a great
approval.
night, guys.
Thanks for sticking it out.
Thank you, guys.
Mhm.
Okay, is JD up?
Yes, JD.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, JD, you're up.
All right, yeah, Noah pretty much summarized the whole project. We have had some pretty substantial water infiltration problems. The primary cause was identified as the ledge on top of the brick corbel. The mortar washes that they put on top of these corbels break and flake off and don't last that long. And the flashing that we put on the City Hall building I think it was 15, 16 years ago, has solved that problem at the showers building. And we decided just to mimic that with the problem we have at the mill building. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, JD. Jack, questions?
How's the flashing holding up on the showers building after 15, 16 years?
We haven't had, I've been back with Public Works facilities for 7 years. We haven't had any issues with it. It's holding up very well. We haven't had to do a single repair to it in 15
No rust,
years.
no corrosion that's evident?
No.
What is the material? It's a metal material, a brake metal?
Yeah, it's galvanized steel with a baked on polymer finish of some sort. I'm not those Kynar finish.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Kynar, but that's,
I'm not.
are you familiar?
Yes,
Okay,
that's industry standard stuff. It's-
okay, good. Thank you. That's all I have.
So would you go to the photograph of the, actually it's right there. So it looks like you're gonna have, as opposed to what's going on at the City Hall building, on this building, you've got a bunch of pilasters. So you're gonna have interrupted, iterations of this, runs of flashing, right? That makes,
Yes.
so
between
you,
the pilasters.
yeah, so are you gonna do like a pan, or are you gonna turn that corner? So you'll see, it'll be like a little box of flashing kind of thing? Okay,
I'm sorry, the inside corners, yeah, they'll be bent and turned in, the inside corners where it meets the pilaster.
yeah, okay. And, there's no dimension, and it says the dimensions will vary, but it looks like the dimensions on the City Hall, it comes down about a brick. Is that what you're planning on doing? Coming down
Yeah.
that same dimension and sort of
Yeah,
match?
it'll cover the first course on top of the portable.
Okay, that's good. And then, you know, you're just gonna, are you gonna try and match the color of what's on the city hall? Or, so you
Yes,
can have
we'll
a
try to
stock
do-
of the same stuff in case something goes south, you can just come in with more of it?
Yeah, we're gonna, try to match the color exactly as possible.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay,
And we haven't specified any overage, to maintain a stock of it, but that is that's a good idea that we'll look into.
cool. That's all I have, thank you.
I have nothing.
The drawing detail looks really nice, it's minimal and it looks good.
I have no questions. Okay, Jack, comments?
Karen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Karen.
No questions.
Okay. Jack, any, comments?
Sounds like, good job.
Yeah, I think as long as you get your corners detailed right, that's the, that's the only problem I can see, but I think, you know, if you pay attention to your corners, this is a great solution. It's gonna be visually minimal, and it will get rid of a bunch of headaches and help this building last another couple hundred years.
I want to say, it sounds like, JD, you did your homework, and it looks like it's going to be a great project, so I hope this solves all the problems for you.
We hope so.
I already made mine, it looks great.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. Okay, looks good. Any discussion? Oh, Karen, comments?
No, looks good, I think, this, just as my colleagues.
Okay. If there's any discussion needed, or are we ready for a motion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay.
That was to approve, right?
Motion to approve.
Sorry.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
And who seconded?
Daniel?
Daniel, okay. All right, Marlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
William Falk,
Yes.
Reynard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, JD.
All right. We have a National Register application, and we also have the author Claire Buscemi with us tonight. This is for the Core Hospital building. I sent out the application. I hope everyone's read it. So just to summarize, address is 601 West 2nd Street. Completed in 1947, and correct me, Claire, if any of this is wrong. The core building is one of the last remaining buildings on the old Bloomington Hospital campus. The hospital was opened in 1905 in a single-family house at the corner of First and Rogers. The first institutional hospital building was built in 1919, and the core building was added to expand capacity. The large utilitarian hospital complex, demolished in 2023, was built in the 1960s with subsequent additions added through the year 2000. Eventually converted to administrative use, the core building was the most architecturally distinctive building on the site at the time of the hospital's closure in 2021. In 2018, the city of Bloomington entered an agreement to purchase the hospital campus on 2nd Street from IU Health with plans to develop the site into housing and public space. The city hired Ratio Architecture firm to conduct a historic resource assessment of the site, which was completed in 2019, and identified the core building as eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. In 2021, the Bloomington City Council voted to approve a recommendation from the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission to list the building as a local historic district, saving it from potential demolition. The building will be incorporated into the planned Hopewell development on the former hospital site and converted into 40 affordable apartments by Brinshaw Development. The project is being considered as a candidate for low-income housing tax credits and historic preservation tax credits, HTC, pending the project's eligibility and the building's listing on the National Register of Historic Places. The project will involve a partnership with the Bloomington Housing Authority and Centerstone, a nonprofit specializing in mental health and substance abuse use disorder. Brinshaw hired Heritage Consulting Group to write a National Register application for the core building as part of the HTC application process. So to summarize very briefly the significance of the nomination, in order to be eligible for inclusion in the National Register, properties must conform to 36 CFR Part 60.4, the criteria for evaluation. The nomination establishes that the district is eligible under Criterion C, which means that the property embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, or represents the work of a master, or possesses high artistic values, or represents a significant and distinguishable entity whose components lack individual distinction. The 1947 core building is locally significant under Criterion C in the area of architecture for its exemplary blending of art moderne and stripped classical styles. These were influenced by the preceding Art Deco movement and contemporary international style, both of which celebrate the development of new building technologies. Art moderne departs from Art Deco in its simplicity, emphasis on horizontality, and curved edges, which are evident in the core building's interior hallways. The use of structural glass blocks in the stairwells is also characteristic of this style, a rare feature in Bloomington's built environment. Coinciding with the Great Depression, Art moderne is an uncommon style, and the core building is one of Bloomington's prime examples, along with its Elks Lodge. Several other buildings downtown display Art Deco elements, including the Coca-Cola bottling plant and several buildings in the Courthouse Square Historic District. Owing to its simplicity and monumentality, stripped classicism was a popular style for public buildings in the 1930s. Like Art moderne, the style is simpler than its antecedent, referencing classical elements in a somewhat abstracted and restrained form. The classical elements on the core building included spandrel panels reading above the primary entrance, floral ornamentation, and a rhythm of window bays that bears some resemblance to a classical colonnade. Elsewhere in Bloomington, examples of stripped classicism include the Monroe County Justice Center and some of the buildings in Indiana University's Fine Arts Plaza. The core building was designed by Indianapolis architecture firm McGuire and Shook, which was responsible for many institutional buildings across the state, including schools, hospitals, and churches. Founded in 1916, many of their buildings from the 1920s through 40s reference Art Deco, Art moderne, and stripped classicism, moving toward more simple and streamlined designs in the 1930s. The firm is still in operation, and several of their buildings are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. As set forth in 36 CFR Part 60, staff has notified the property owner and public officials by letter. All have been given the opportunity to provide the commission with written comments or objections. A public hearing will be held on today, December 12th, 2024, where the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission will render its decision on the merits of the application. Staff supports the nomination and recommends that the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission support the nomination of the core building to the National Register of Historic Places based upon the substance of the argument in the nomination. It is possible that the Indiana Division of Historic Preservation and Archaeology will request further revision of the nomination form during substantive review, which will follow the Commission's action. These revisions should not affect the case for the nomination. So, Claire, I don't know if you have anything to add or corrections.
No, you hit everything right on the nose. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire. So let's reverse. Renard, questions?
None.
Okay.
That was very thorough.
Seems really thorough. Well done.
No questions?
No.
Okay.
No questions. Yeah. Hit the spot for me.
The only two I had were, one, has it always been called the core building since its inception, or was it known by a different name?
It was renamed for, I believe, an administrator.
Yeah, Bud
Yes.
Core.
Yes, correct.
Roland.
Roland.
When was it renamed?
Then people call him Bud. I think people called him Bud.
But When was that, just out of curiosity, when was that renaming? 60s. In the 60s? Okay, I was just curious. And then this will not impact, 'cause I know Glenda Murray, our county historian, is also working on the historical marker through Indiana Historical Society for the women's group that started the hospital. So that will still be able to be placed on the grounds. I know they're part of what Glenda and I met the other day, and she said they're waiting till Hopewell's further along and working with the city, but that will still, at some point, be able to be placed on the grounds with this designation.
Right,
That won't have any sort
that
of.
shouldn't affect any.
I just wanted to be 100% sure, so I just thought I would ask. So that's all I had.
So the nomination doesn't include anything about the future modifications that this body already approved with the low-income housing building by, was that Barry Clapper's firm, Spring Point?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the absence of that will complicate either the building of that later, or inclusion of that would complicate the nomination of this building. Because I don't want this process to interfere with building of low-income housing and the further modification of the building as this body has already approved. So is that something that we can address here tonight? Is that something we have to ask legal?
So, I mean, this is being nominated as part of the historic rehabilitation tax credit process.
Mm-hmm.
So, the firm that's, undertaking the design, is familiar with how this process goes with Secretary of Interior standards.
Mm-hmm.
The nomination of the building is for the building as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, future changes would have to comply with Secretary of Interior standards. So I hope that answers your question.
No.
I can tell you too that the part 2, which is the discussion of the rehabilitation for the building, for the project,
Yeah.
that has been approved already by the National Park Service. So they've seen all the new construction, they've seen all the rehabilitation proposed, so they've seen it and approved it.
So they've seen it and approved it, and have they seen it and approved it with this elevation, this in mind for national, to get on the register?
I'm sorry?
So if the National Park Service, they're not gonna come back after we run this up the flagpole and have us jump through more hoops to go and deal with the addition. Is that?
No, they should not. We have submitted the part 1, which is basically the draft National Register nomination, and that was also approved by the National Park Service.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
It was mentioned in the text that there was space for disagreement. Has there been any disagreement on this nomination?
I have not heard any.
And it looks as if this would not be, this nomination didn't pass. There's a contingency that this must pass before the money is released. Money's become available to do the work to this building and to accomplish what they want to accomplish. Is that correct? There is a contingency between the...
What are the steps, Marlene? Does nomination come before tax credit? I mean, listing come before the tax credit? Or?
Well, it needs to, the listing, and then the part 1 and part 2 is the sort of the thing that allows you to get the tax credit.
Right.
So this, probably has to happen.
It has to happen within a certain time frame.
Right, and so they won't get the money until they have the nomination, because part 1 and part 2 are they're
Predecessors too.
Right.
well, no, well, they need to have that the nomination or the successful registration of the building. I mean, like with the Hirons building, it was part of a district, and it was, and then we did the part 1 and part 2. But I think that it's a really good proposal. I don't think that anything that has been proposed for the renovation or renovation of the building will have any problems. I just don't. I mean, having gone through the process with 555 Morton, I just can't see that it would have any problems at all. I mean, they have to take a lot of pictures, that's all I know. They have to take a lot of pictures and more pictures
I'm
of
asking as a
existing.
matter of information, that there is a contingency, this has to have a nomination, or the money's not.
Well, it's not,
Tax credit.
the tax,
Is what I'm hearing.
they have to have the.
It does have to be listed on the National Register.
That's all I have.
Okay. Comments, Renard? No. Marlene, comments? Oh, I forgot. Karen, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Any
Yes,
questions or
I
comments?
support it. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I recommend it.
okay. Do we need any discussion, or it sounds like we may have consensus? Do we have a motion?
Bill, could you see if there's anyone from the public that would like to
Oh.
participate since this
Yes.
is?
Is there anyone from the public? I see none in the audience, but online?
Them raise their hand, because I think they're muted.
Which is Karen and Claire, the only two.
Okay.
Online.
Yeah, okay, we're good.
See any? Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the nomination.
And I second it.
Marlene Newman. Daniel Schlegel.
Yes.
Sam DeSaller.
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
William Falk.
Yes.
Raynard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, so this will be forwarded to the State Historic Preservation Office.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any old business to cover?
Do we have any old business we need to cover? Yes?
605 South Fest Avenue,
605
Is that
South
Spanish
Fest.
Mediterranean
Right.
apartment building?
Willow Terrace.
That's
Mhm.
one note I had as well.
Yeah.
Any updates on that?
Well, I have one update.
Mhm.
Sounds like there's an update from the back. I'd like to get that update first.
Margie and we called the legal representation. Apparently, the materials are on a 6 to 8 month lag time, but they have been ordered for the roof. This is for the clay tile roof, correct?
Yeah, so at the last meeting, legal said they gave them 60 days to have the roof installed. So, what does that mean?
That's a very good question. They do not have the materials to put on at this time, but they do have evidence that they have been ordered.
So there's no consequence to the petitioners who have been dragging this out for years after the 60-day deadline? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know that any decision has been made on that. We just got the update today.
Okay. Are you also aware they have put the building up for sale?
We are aware.
Have you looked at the package and have they put that in there?
Yes, it is a requirement that they disclose, and they have disclosed to us.
Okay.
Yes. So the requirement for repair, but they do have the materials ordered, so I'm not sure if that's common for this kind of clay roof or not. Many materials are on quite a lifetime, like terracotta, for instance.
Mhm.
If I can interject, I'm wondering if staff could call out to the company. I'm assuming we have a copy of the invoice saying who it's ordered through. Seems like we could call out to the company to see if that exact material would be available at a sooner date, or if it's truly a 6 to 8 month timeline.
Their legal representation did indicate that they were trying to figure out if there was an expedited way, but that was what the initial order said.
Yeah, they were actually doing that. That was part of the conversation we had, was that they were doing that exact thing, trying to figure out.
So they were doing exactly
That,
what?
making those calls and trying to figure out if they could.
I understand that, but I'm talking about third-party validation rather than internal validation of someone calling the manufacturer to see if that is an accurate time frame.
That would actually not surprise me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think it is either, so,
Be glad to do that.
okay.
Otherwise, you end up with like a blown out airplane window or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah, I can check that out.
Yeah, and I think the commissioners would feel a lot more comfortable if we knew that was
I'd feel a
how long
lot
it
more
took.
comfortable if there were some sanctions, but.
Mhm.
who am I? Just,
A commissioner.
Yes.
Commission's guy.
So I think the other piece of the Willow Terrace is part and parcel of a larger discussion I want to have about maintenance on these buildings. That's not just the roof. There are a lot of original windows that are down to the bare wood on that building. And if you could put it on your agenda to do some NOVs, that's one I'd like to see happen.
Aren't they a lot of them steel windows?
Sorry?
Aren't a lot of those steel windows?
Yeah, a lot of, on the street fronts, there's steel windows. On the alley and on the back side of the house, there are masonry openings with wood double hungs. And then in the basement, there's a lot of replacements that are just like aluminum framed, single pane.
What's an NOV?
A notice of violation.
Any other, so, can you clarify that one more time, Sam? So, for future business discussion, is the discussion around
Maintenance and
maintenance?
notice of violations and how we handle that.
Got it.
Because that's something in my entire, like,
Mhm.
decade plus on the commission, we have been negligent of. And I
Gotcha.
think we need to step up and start addressing that.
Yeah. Any other old business?
My only question is with the city council. I know right now is gonna be a crazy time of year, so I know that that's off the table, but for looking into the new year, I know they've been working with budget stuff, so I just didn't know if we had any movement or discussion on early in the new year being able to work with. I forget what the name was.
Getting a work-
Not a
yeah,
round
work session
table,
together.
but-
Oh,
I think,
workstations.
yeah.
Oh, and also new members.
New members,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Work session and new members.
Yeah. So, whenever,
Yeah.
we're here.
Which I'm sure you heard, staff has been coming along slowly.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the reception and
Oh, that's
buttonholed
right.
people.
Okay, any other old business? Okay, I had one from the retreat. Anna, there were a couple takeaways. Do you have any updates on those yet?
I don't, that they're gonna have to wait until,
Okay.
2025. I'm not gonna be able to get to them by the end of the year.
Okay,
Everything else has a December 31st deadline that I'm working on.
very good. Would, let's say since Renard was discussing, we won't really have a calendar for next year until that first organizational meeting. So perhaps, just as an expectation, could we say at the last meeting, to be determined in January, that you could provide us an update on those items?
That sounds reasonable, and I'll let
Okay.
you know if something changes.
Great, thank you. So if you would put that on. Okay, anything else? Any commissioner comments?
Sorry I missed the retreat.
What's that?
Sorry I missed the retreat.
Oh, that's okay.
Same here, I missed it too.
you
Any,
didn't come with anything.
and any
Independence.
public comments?
Snacks, candy,
Okay.
nothing.
I don't see any, do you?
Speak now or?
Okay, before we adjourn, everyone have a good holiday. Hope you have lots of fun with your family and your loved ones, so, and we're adjourned.